Welcome to Storytime. Now, I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to work my way to the top. So, this set is going to be comprised basically of me reading. Okay, scry. A spell that allows me to see and hear past events from the geographic location in which I happen to be standing. It also casts an ethereal light on enemies in darker areas, giving me the ability to see my foes, as well as find my way. I must be careful in its use, as it has no offensive power and it seems to drain my energies for short durations. Learned men have stated that they believe that man has yet to unlock the full potential of the mind. While traveling to the Orient after the war, I met up with a local seer who told me that I was one of the chosen few. One of only a handful of individuals that he had ever met that had this ability. He called it scrying, to be able to read portions of the past. Most people who possessed this power, he said, over the course of their lives eventually fell into disability, mind-tired, and from the barrage of images and sounds that could be heard from both the past and the present, the real and the unreal. I know I have the ability to scry because of the subtle words I hear calling from within me at times, begging me to look deeper into the past, deeper at what actually isn't even in front of me. But I am truly wondering if this is the gift I dreamed of, or a sick curse placed upon me by an outside force. My trusty revolver, a 6-shot weapon of forged metal grace. Durable, yet lightweight, my military piece has seen many a country and has spilled much blood over the years. Gelzabar Stone. The Gelzabar Stone. I have carried this artifact ever since the day Jeremiah gave it to me following the battle with the Trezani. It seems to throw out a shockwave of considerable force, and ever since I acquired the stone I have noticed strange sightings and visual anomalies. However, the power of the stone has its dark side. On occasion, a beast from beyond this world has attacked me. My only explanation for its appearance is that I was using the stone's power for too long. I have not seen the beast for a while. Of course, I have not needed the stone. Remembrances. Each time my past fades from memory, fate has a terrible habit of reawakening me. Most often, the unpleasant name of Otto Kissinger is the vehicle of my remembrance, but not today. My old friend and commanding officer in the Great War, Jeremiah Covenant, has sent word. It has been years since I have heard from him. His letter came whilst I was away, sitting unopened for nearly 6 months. My joy at reading his name was quickly replaced by sorrow, then by fear. Jeremiah has fallen ill and requires my assistance at his estate in Ireland. I have not set foot in Irish soil since poor Gwendolyn's death, and I did not think anything could make me return. Could I have been responsible for her death? Being legally exiled from my homeland was painful, but nothing in comparison to my memories. How did she end up on the floor? How could so much blood come without a sound? How was that knife in my hand, and why was Kissinger suddenly nowhere to be found? But Jeremiah saved my life, and I cannot deny any request he would make. The necessity of my presence is somewhat vague, as his letter, at times, was incoherent. He speaks of his sickness as a family illness no medicine can cure. Regardless, I will go to my friend. I have booked passage on a steamliner, leaving tomorrow, arriving in 4 days' time. I hope I am not recognized by the authorities. I hope I am not too late. Jeremiah's conversation. I have arrived in time, apparently just in time. Completely bedridden, Jeremiah is a shadow of his old self, appearing many pounds and a few shades lighter. His explanation for calling me is still unclear. He speaks of strange happenings around the estate, problems that he is unable to rectify in his weakened state, and has requested that I investigate. I, of course, agreed. Before I could ponder where to begin my exploration, the servant who showed me to Jeremiah's room screamed from downstairs. Often where to begin is the most difficult step. Jeremiah's disclosure. A piece of the puzzle. The scream downstairs was the result of an attack by a beast. Something Jeremiah calls a howler. Similar to a dog, the animal was pale in complexion, had claws as long as my arm, and could leap several meters from a dead stop. I killed the fiend, but before I could thoroughly inspect the corpse, it vanished without a trace. Upon questioning Jeremiah, I am a little more unnerved than I was. I'm a little more unnerved than I was after seeing the howler. He told a story involving his brothers and sisters, an isle of standing stones, and a sorcery book of his late father's. Apparently the Covenant children, led by Jeremiah, went to the island and read from this strange book. He maintains that it was simply a prank to scare his kin. He believes something from within the ring of stones answered back, raging the sea, angering the wind, and shaking the earth. Since that time, Jeremiah has been visited by terrible misfortune. All of his brothers and sisters have passed away. I recall one late night in a foxhole. Jeremiah showed me a picture of the youngest sister, Lisbeth. No more than a teenager, she was so striking I found it hard to concentrate on his descriptions of the others. Anyway, Jeremiah was not completely convinced that they are indeed dead. Well, to be precise, he is not sure they have remained dead. I suspect that these are delusions brought on by his memory of that day at the stones. Otherwise, I can only imagine that this is a terrible prank played upon a dying man. But if they are only delusions, why not inform me of them when we first spoke? Why would he not write me of such in his letter? Perhaps he did not think I would come. Ectoplasm. The scroll Jeremiah gave me has revealed a powerful spell. It seems that with proper concentration and focus of my mana, I am able to release ethereal bolts of ectoplasm from my hand. Unreliable at far range, the mystical damage seems quite effective in close quarters. Lisbeth's room. The butler said someone broke into Lisbeth's room. Perhaps I should investigate. Eveline's death. I spoke with the maid about Lisbeth. The sibling's mother, Eveline, apparently died while giving birth to her, and the housekeeper filled the void of her maternal absence. She said Lisbeth was a very beautiful girl with short, violent fuse who passed away from a wasting disease. I take note of the irony of someone who is so beautiful dying of such a heinous disease that calls for the destruction of their vanity. The maid said that the groundskeeper believes to have seen Lisbeth alive. Having seen Lisbeth with my own eyes, I can only believe this maid's frightful testimony. I'll go down to the kitchen and try to find my way out to the gardens anyway. Lisbeth's poetry. On nights when I cannot sleep, I look from my bed to the monastery out my window. The reflections of the waters that separate us ripple across my bedroom walls, filling the room with waves of moonlight. It is quiet enough, and the wind is still, and I can hear them chanting. Their prayers roll across the water and fall upon my ears like a lullaby, rocking me to sleep. It fills my body with such a quiet peace. And yet I cannot help but wonder how something that provides so much security could at the same time haunt me. At midnight, the chanting stops. The brilliant lights of the monastery go black, except for the tiny glow that emanates from the entrance to the catacombs. As I watch that single light, I can see the shadows of the monks at the entrance. It is then that I feel a slow creeping dread rise from my stomach, as if the island somehow has a hold of me. I have overheard bits and pieces of a story from hushed conversations about monks who died a horrible death years ago among these grounds. It is said their tortured souls were put to rest within the catacombs, and that their two brothers have stood guard at the entrance each night since. I cannot help but wonder why. What are they waiting for, or hoping to ward off? Are they bound to the island with the same unknown force as I? The Lord works in mysterious ways, but how can a just God allow his own flock to die within sacred grounds? Surely there is another force working among us, one capable of pure evil. A loving God could never allow such pain and agony. Is it that force that eats me at night and leaves my dreams unsettled? Are the waters enough to keep me safe?